Hey there, my name is David and I will be your Linode developer advocate for this video. And in this video, we're going to take a look at setting up a project management system on Linode called Kanboard. Kanboard is an open source project management software application that uses a Kanban board to implement the Kanban process management system so you can more easily see the status of different tasks and projects. If you'd like to follow along with this video, be sure to head down to the description where you'll find a link to head over to Linode to get $100 in free credit to check out Linode for 60 days. So of course, the first thing we want to do to get started on installing Kanboard on Linode is get logged in to our Linode account. Once we're logged in, we can then click on the Create Linode button. We could use the options on the Distributions tab and manually install all of our dependencies, but let's save some time and click on the Marketplace tab. Then we can click on the Search for an App Name text box and type in Docker. Then we'll select the Docker option that appears below our search. Under the Docker Setup and Advanced options, you could create a sudo user and disable SSH for root if you wanted to for a bit extra security. For the sake of demonstration though, we're going to skip over that and go down to the Select an Image option, and I'm going to select Debian 11. Next, we'll want to select a region. Basically, where do we want our Linode to be hosted? I like to choose something that's close to me just to reduce latency whenever possible. Because Kanban is a pretty lightweight application, we can switch over to the shared CPU option under the Linode plan section, and I'm going to select the Linode 2 gig option for $10 a month, and this should give us plenty of overhead for our setup. Under the Linode label, you can give your Linode a name and add tags if you'd like. Next, we'll enter a root password, and you can add your SSH key to your Linode if you'd like. We don't necessarily need VLANs for this setup, but I do advise adding backups to your setup for some peace of mind. Next, we can click the Create Linode button at the bottom and give the system a few minutes to spin up our new setup. While this is going on, we can head over to our domain registrar to make sure our domain that we want to use for our setup is pointed to Linode's name servers. Be sure to change your DNS settings to point to ns1 through ns5.linode.com. Then be sure to give the settings up to a day to propagate so that the DNS is in full effect. After you've given the system a few minutes to bring up your Linode, we can SSH in and start deploying our Kanban setup. At this point, you can open your favorite terminal emulator and type in, or copy and paste, the SSH root at your IP shown on your Linode dashboard. You'll be asked if you're sure that you want to connect to this server because it is the first time you've connected to this server. You can type in yes and hit enter. You can now enter your root password and again hit enter, and now you're logged into your server and we can start deploying. We're going to create a Docker Compose by typing in nano docker-compose.yml. Using a Docker Compose will allow us to deploy multiple containers simultaneously. So let's take a look at the containers that we're going to deploy. First, we've got Portainer CE, that is the community edition, and this container isn't necessarily required, but I'd like to use it so I've got an easy to use user interface to check out my container logs and update containers when there are updates available. Next, we've got NGINX Proxy Manager, and I like to use this container to pull and manage SSLs for my applications. The next container we've got is the Kanboard container, which is the main application that we're going to set up for our project management purposes. What I'm showing here is just a basic installation, but if you'd like to expand the functionality, Kanboard docs have a great resource of additional settings that you can change in the var/www/app/config.php file to do everything from defining directories to enabling SMTP, email for notifications and password recovery. You can also do things like enable LDAP, secure HTTP headers, brute force protection, and several miscellaneous settings. And don't worry, I will show how to do this in just a bit. Something to keep in mind with SMTP settings is that you'll need to submit a ticket with Linode to make sure that the SMTP port or ports that you need have been unblocked, otherwise your mail settings just won't work. I've also added an environment variable that will allow us to install plugins in our Kanboard via the dashboard itself. Now, by default, this is turned off for security reasons, so if you'd rather not use plugins, you can delete the plugin_installer line of the Docker Compose. You'll also want to change the Kanboard secret in the database URL line, as well as the username and password in the database container below. And the last container that we'll have to set up is the database so that Kanboard will be able to store data for our setup. Below that, we've got multiple Docker volumes declared, and this is just where the individual containers will store the data that they need to run. And we'll notice that they each correspond to a volume declaration in the containers above. Lastly, we've got a network declared so that the containers that need to talk to each other can do exactly that. So let's head over to our terminal window and type the following, which would be nano docker-compose.yml. Nano is the command that will open a text editor, and docker compose is the name of the file that we'll be creating and editing. So you can go ahead and copy and paste the contents of the Docker Compose into the terminal window, and then press Ctrl-O and Ctrl-X to save and exit the Docker Compose file. Now that our Docker Compose is ready, we can deploy it by running docker-compose up-d. This will bring up the different containers in the Docker Compose. While the containers are deploying, this is a good time to configure our domain name on the Linode side of things. So we're going to go back over to our Linode dashboard and click the Domains tab on the left side of the page. Then we'll click on the Create a Domain button and fill in the domain that we want to use, as well as our email address. Under the Insert Default Records, be sure to select the Insert Default Records from one of my Linodes and select the Linode that we created earlier. Then click Create Domain. Once your terminal window shows that your containers are ready, we can head over to our Linode's IP address and tack on port 9000. This will bring up Portainer and we'll be asked to create an admin account. Be sure to change the username to something other than admin, then enter your password twice and click on Create User. Now we can click on Get Started, and then we'll want to click on Environments in the left column. Then we're going to click Local, and now we'll want to enter the IP address of our Linode into that public IP text box and click on Update Environment. Doing this just allows us to have that variable set so that we can access some of our containers more easily in the future. Now we can click on the Home and then Local in the middle of the page. Then we'll click on Containers, and we should see all of our containers up and running. Next to each of the container names, we'll see some icons. From here, we can do things like look at the individual container logs, open a console, view resource usage, and more. If you click on the 81 next to the NGINX Proxy Manager line, we'll be taken to a login page for NGINX Proxy Manager. The default username and password is admin@example.com and change me. Once you've logged into NGINX Proxy Manager, you'll be asked to change both of those credentials. And after you've updated your credentials, I like to pull an SSL that I'm going to need for my domain. So let's head over to the SSLs tab and then click the Add SSL certificate near the top right, and then select Let's Encrypt. Enter the domain name you configured on Linode a moment ago, and make sure that the email address is correct, and then agree to the terms, as long as you actually agree to the terms. Once you've done that, you can click on Save, and in just a couple of moments, the SSL will be ready to be used. Now you can click on Hosts and then Proxy Host, and then click Add Proxy Host. You'll want to again enter the domain name that we configured earlier, and then you can set the scheme to HTTPS and enter the IP address of the container on the network that we created earlier. To find that, we're going to go back to Portainer and look for the Kanban line in the list of containers, and then find the IP address column and copy the Kanban IP address. Head back over to NGINX Proxy Manager and paste in the IP. The forward port that we're going to use will be 443, and you can check all of the boxes below that for a bit more security. Now we're going to head over to the SSL tab in the same pop-up window and click the drop-down under SSL certificate and select the SSL that we just generated in a previous step. After just a moment, you should be set to go, as the system will have configured the domain to point to the correct location on your server and use the SSL certificate that we generated a moment ago. You can now click the domain name listed on the hosts page, and you should be taken to a login page for the application. The default username and password on this application are both admin, so once you're signed in, you'll want to change both of those credentials. You can do that by simply clicking the A in the top right corner of the page and then clicking on My Profile. Then click Edit Profile and change your username, name, and email. Don't forget to click Save and then click the Change Password option. Enter your default password and then the new password twice and click Save. At this point, you can start creating projects, managing existing projects, inviting other users to your Kanboard instance, and a ton more. Once you've created your new project, you can then start going in and creating tasks for the project, and each task can be assigned to any of the users that you have set up on your site, and then you can start dragging and dropping tasks into the appropriate task columns. If you need to edit, delete, or create new columns for your projects, you can edit the project settings by clicking on the gear at the top left of the project page and then clicking on Configure this project. About halfway down the left menu on the page, you'll find Columns. Click that, and then you can start creating new columns for your project. If you'd like to expand the functionality of your Kanboard instance, you'll want to install plugins, and by default this is turned off, but we turned it on with a setting in the Docker Compose file earlier. The plugin page will have a list of available plugins that you can install if you'd like to use any of the functionality in those plugins. And one last thing to cover is how to modify the config.php file that I talked talked about earlier to add or change some of the settings in your Kanboard setup. One easy way to do this is to go back to our portainer and find our containers list. Then click the console icon next to Kanboard. Then click the connect button and you'll be brought to a terminal-like window. You'll want to cd into the directory var/www/app, and then you can type in vi-config.php to edit the config file. If you head over to the Kanboard docs, you'll find a list of different things that you can change in the config.php file. And when you're ready to edit the config.php file in Portainer, press the I key on your keyboard to go into edit mode. That's just kind of how VI works. You can then make the changes to your config.php file and then press the escape key and then :WQ, which is the command to save and exit your new file. Be sure to restart your Kanboard container in order for the changes that you've made in your config.php file to take effect. So there you go. There's how to get Kanboard set up and configured on Linode using Docker. Be sure to leave a like on this video if you found it helpful. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I do want to thank you guys for spending a few minutes of your day with me today, and I'll talk to you in the next video.